Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something that affects almost all of us. We are breaking down the invisible financial traps that are secretly keeping the middle class broke. Our goal today? To take the illusion of wealth and transform it into a much-needed reality check. So let's get right to it. Okay, so let's start with a core truth we pulled right from the source material. Society often tells us that if you can manage your monthly payments, you're doing just fine. But honestly, that's a trap. True financial freedom isn't about just managing your debts. It's about keeping what you earn. Your financial freedom lives exclusively in that gap between earning and spending. And to help you protect that gap, we're going to systematically dismantle 12 massive traps today by looking at 4 main themes: the illusion of true ownership, the psychology of overspending, invisible drains on your income, and finally, stealing from your future.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, the illusion of true ownership. First up is what's known as the car payment treadmill. You know how this goes. You start by trading in a perfectly fine car because a salesperson promises a better monthly payment. But to get that lower payment, they stretched your new loan from 5 years out to 7. Then, a few years later, you trade it in again, rolling the old upside-down loan right into a brand new one. You keep chasing lower payments instead of actual ownership. It keeps you perpetually renting your vehicles under the guise of upgrading.
Then, oh man, we have the minimum payment illusion. When you get a credit card bill for $3,000, seeing a $60 minimum payment feels totally safe and manageable, right? Well, wrong. At that rate, almost all of your money goes straight to interest. As compound interest quietly works against you in the background, it literally takes over 12 years to clear that debt, and it ends up costing you nearly double, $6,000. It's absolutely staggering how quickly a small balance balloons when you only pay the minimum.
Which brings us to the house poor reality. When the bank approves you for a $400,000 mortgage, they calculate the absolute maximum payment you can handle on paper. But what they completely ignore are the property taxes, the dead air conditioners in the middle of July, the random roof repairs, and, the actual life that comes after closing. Suddenly, you realize there is zero room left in your budget. Basically, stretching your budget to the absolute maximum just to buy a house creates this beautiful financial prison. You're working day in and day out just to maintain the physical structure of a home, leaving you totally unable to build a life beyond it. Ultimately, sure, you own the address, but the address owns you.
Let's move on to section 2, the psychology of overspending.
This trap, it's all about keeping up appearances. We see a coworker rocking a new designer watch, or maybe a neighbor's lavish European vacation on social media, and we just assume everyone else is wealthy. So what do? We whip out the credit card to catch up. But the truth from the data is staggering and, frankly, a bit heartbreaking. That coworker is most likely drowning in payments. Nobody is actually keeping score, yet we continue buying approval from strangers using money we'll spend decades paying back.
And consider the brand loyalty tax. This one is crazy. Blind tests consistently prove that people cannot tell the difference between a $6 name brand cereal and a $3 store brand. Legally, the active ingredients in the thread counts are identical. You are paying a massive premium just to fund their marketing budget and wear a logo.
Then there's the classic retail therapy cycle. You have a really bad day at work, so you buy something for a quick hit of dopamine. We've all been there. But that high fades incredibly fast. The bill arrives, generating all this guilt and debt, which creates the exact financial anxiety you were trying to escape in the first place. Retail therapy disguises itself as a cure, but really, it just digs you deeper into a hole.
All right, on to section 3, invisible drains on your income.
First up here is lifestyle creep. You finally get that hard-earned promotion. Awesome, right? You decide to upgrade your apartment, get a way faster internet plan, and start buying premium groceries because, well, it feels justified. But your new spending perfectly matches your new salary. The gap between what you earn and what you keep shrinks down to zero, and you just end up being completely broke but at a higher salary.
Another massive invisible drain is paying for convenience. We're talking those $7 food delivery fees, the 12 streaming services just running silently in the background, express shipping, premium app upgrades, even pre-cut vegetables. Convenience as a default just bleeds you dry. Each $5 or $10 choice feels completely harmless in the moment, but it hides its immense harm through sheer repetition.
Because when you actually add all those tiny conveniences up, the math is just staggering. By the end of the year, these daily shortcuts are invisibly siphoning up to, get this, $6,000 from your income. Just think about that for a second. That is thousands of dollars that could have easily built up your savings or completely cleared out your debt.
Which leads us to our final section, Section 4, Stealing from Your Future.
This trap is super obvious when we look at whole life insurance. It's basically a wealth transfer disguised as financial planning. You pay these massive premiums, and a huge chunk of it goes instantly to the agent's commission. The remaining cash value is trapped, growing at a brutal 2 to 3%. If you simply bought basic term life insurance instead and invested the difference in an index fund, history shows you'd typically yield 8 to 10% annually.
We also fall for the emergency-free delusion. Experts always say you need a 3 to 6 month savings buffer, right? Yet most people are living paycheck to paycheck with less than $400 saved. This relies on the blind, wild faith that your transmission won't randomly fail or your dog won't need emergency surgery. But emergencies aren't rare. They're guaranteed. Living without a buffer means you are literally one flat tire away from a financial collapse.
Then we have to talk about the ruthless math of delaying your retirement investments. You tell yourself, hey, I'll save later when I make more money. But starting to invest just $200 a month at age 40 instead of age 25 doesn't just mean you're starting 15 years late. It means you are permanently losing decades of exponential compound growth. You're turning a potential $500,000 nest egg into barely $200,000.
To try and fix all of this, so many people fall into the side hustle trap. You take on freelance gigs or drive for a rideshare app just to cover your inflated lifestyle. But this just leaves you exhausted, burned out, and with way less time for your family. And the crazy part? That extra money just vanishes into the exact same holes as your main income because the core spending problem goes completely untouched.
Think about it. Hustling forever to earn an extra $500 requires constant time and sacrifice. It's like running on a treadmill trying to outrun your own shadow. On the flip side, simply cutting $500 in expenses solves the problem permanently. It literally gives you $500 back every single month, forever, without any of that ongoing exhaustion. You know, you might be sitting there right now waiting for the perfect financial conditions. A bigger raise, maybe the kid's getting older, fewer bills, waiting for all that to finally get serious about building wealth. But reality check, that perfect time is never going to arrive. There is no right time. There's only compounding time, and you're burning it while you wait. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a pretty provocative question to challenge every single purchase you make from today forward. Ask yourself, are you building actual wealth, or are you just financing the appearance of it? It's time to take back your financial freedom by minding the gap. Thanks so much for joining me for this one, and keep learning.